Hi everyone, it's about 5:45 on Tuesday. This is your closing comment and it's video number 226. The Dow was down today. It was down most of the day and was the weakest of all the averages. And the chart here on the screen is one that I don't really use all that often. It's the NASDAQ 100. Point being that since the beginning of the year, back here, January 2nd, we were in this neighborhood of 8,800, and we have now regained 100% of that loss for the year. But I want to show you the Dow in contrast to this because it looks nothing like the NASDAQ or the NASDAQ 100. Today with 2-to-1 down on the New York and 1.5-to-1 down on NASDAQ, we actually closed on the lows here. And if you take this back to the first of the year, you can see that we are down substantially. We've regained about 60%, between 50 and 60% of the loss for the year. And again, we finished on the low. The biggest problem was the bond market being down, which shouldn't have been much of a surprise. I've been talking about the fact that for all of the COVID relief and all of the pumping that the Fed is doing, that bonds will have to come down just based solely on the fact that there will be an awful lot of them offered. So Dow down 218, 0.9%. The NASDAQ up 45, but had been up 105, and the S&P down 20 or 0.7%. As I said, the volume was definitely weighted to the downside, and we had a lot of earnings today. We had carryover from last night, Beyond Meat, which really put on a show. Last night after the earnings, it was up about $5 to 105. This morning at the open, it was up 9 at 109, and it finished the day at 126, up 26 or 26%. This was on the back of the horrendous ADP job loss numbers, which were over 20 million, and the MBA mortgage applications, which rose 0.1% versus being down 3.3% last week. In the tech stocks, we had Tesla up a little. Netflix really looks like it's wanting to go higher. It got as high as 439 and change and closed at 434, 435, and it was up $9.50. Google was down $4, but it was also on the low and about 25 off the high. And Apple finished 300, which was still up on the day, but down from the 303 and a quarter. After the close, we had Peloton, which also had a big beat, both in earnings and a really big revenue beat. The stock was 38.03 at the close, up about 5%, $1.81. It got as high as 41.94 and is currently 39.60, up another $1.50. So it's up 3.30 on the day, which is about 9%. T-Mobile had decent numbers. The stock had been down at 86.59, down 238. After it reported, it traded as low as 86 and as high as 88 3/4. The last was 87.70, and that was up $1.10. One of the really big winners was Lyft. It beat on both earnings expectations and revenues, and the stock was up 3, which was about 15%. After trading around 26, it got as high as 31.15, and the last was 30.16, up 397 or 15%. Win missed across all boards, revenue and earnings. The reopen being in Macau being a disappointment and just not having the number of people come through. Etsy, another little darling of this market, closed 78.24 and then beat on revenues but missed on earnings. And after trading as high as 84.01 and as low as 73.60, was last 73.68, down 436 or a little over 5%. Square was a miss, as was PayPal. Both of those were lower, and CTL, CenturyLink, was a beat on earnings and a slight miss on revenues. The stock was $9.47, down 54 cents or 5.4%. That's about it. I'll be back first thing in the morning.